Hey y'all, welcome back. Today, me and my cat Art back there are really excited to bring you guys some scary stories that was sent in to me by you guys. So let's get into it. Artsy, you want to come say hello? You want to come say hello? Anyways, let's get into these stories. All right, story number 1. I've got a paranormal story that happened to me personally. It's not really scary, but it was definitely weird. I'd be okay with you sharing it on your page if you'd like to hear. I actually have a bunch of paranormal stories that happened to me, both scary and not so, if you're interested in hearing some more. Absolutely. Some background for this story. Before I was born, my mom had a friend named Walt. Walt owned a trailer in the middle of basically nowhere, Boyce, Louisiana. It has a big bayou right in the yard, and it's surrounded with a few neighbors, but mostly woods. This trailer has always had weird, unexplainable things happen. A lot of people have passed in that house due to overdoses and other reasons. We'll flash forward to when Walt passed and he gave that trailer to my mom because they were best friends. So my mom and I move in. Now we're where the story starts. Me and my mom were cleaning up the place because no one had lived there for a long time and decorating and just making it our own. I had a bunch of friends over, but they were in the living room. I was down the hallway in my doorway taping pictures to my door. The way my room was set up, to decorate my door I had to be standing in a position to where my back was facing the hallway. But when I turned, I had to look in the direction of the hall. So as I was going to grab a picture to tape, I felt something, like an overwhelming urge to turn. So I did. And in the hallway there was this giant glowing figure. It was white and had like a purple and blue aura around it, almost. I was paralyzed with what I'm assuming was fear, but the figure wasn't malicious. It felt calm, happy almost. Almost as quick as I saw this figure form, I watched it turn to the best way I can explain it, a ball of light, almost orb-like. And it quickly shot down the hall and disappeared. I couldn't move for what felt like 10 seconds after it left, and then I ran into the living room to tell my friends what I saw, and no one believed me. But I know what I saw. What are your thoughts? If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Why's the camera like that? It like keeps falling down. I don't understand. Hold on. Is that angle better? So sorry. Okay, let me give my thoughts. That sounds like you just watched us like a soul pass on. Like, is that what it sounds like to you guys? It sounds like you watched something just turn to light and move on to somewhere else. I could be wrong. That's what it sounds like to me though. I've heard of but that begs the question, are the orbs we see just like things passing on? Or is that a special circumstance? Alright, story number 2. So to start off with a little information, I live in rural North Carolina with a lot of woods, decently spaced out farmland, and lots of critters. I also feel a little more in tune to supernatural things than most people. My eyes will well up with tears and I'll get a spine-rolling chill if something that isn't human is around me. And I've had experiences with a shadow figure as a little kid and later had a coffee pot thrown at me while with family. A few months ago at around 1:40 in the morning, I'm on a call with my ex-boyfriend with my bedroom light on. My bedroom has a large window facing the road, and from the corner of my eye, I see a blur of white dart back and forth twice. Immediately, I get a churn in my stomach and my eyes well up. I get a shiver down my spine. Normally, I don't really pay attention to this because I don't want to mess with spirits. My house has a few, and while I know I live here now, I also know it was once their house, and I want to be respectful to them and the place they lived and passed in. However, I completely freak out at this. I turn off my light, I slip under my blankets and watch the window. The shivering is gone for now, but there's a gut-deep feeling of unease. My cat gets up from where she was napping by my window and left my room in a hurry. Wouldn't even let me touch her, which is odd for her because she's hyper affectionate. And even as I'm writing this, she's in my lap hurrying up a storm. So that in itself was scary. However, my ex-boyfriend has claimed to have experiences with supernatural creatures and entities. So I'm talking to him about it and he's trying to help me understand it because the negative, scary cling of this thing had me scared. I'm never scared of things like this because I don't really do anything to upset them. I'm very gentle with the spirits home. Whenever I messed up graves, I put the flowers back and ran after asking permission and apologizing for stepping into their space. But this thing was lingering in my mind, and it didn't feel right. However, as I'm describing it, I'm getting shivers again. When describing its appearance, I tell him that the creature is tall, and then go on to say, and so pale, to which he said, pale like me, or pale pale. And I responded with pale, pale, pale. And immediately my whole body gets a shiver. From the first pale, and it was strong, slowly fading after I said the last word, pale. And that scared me more because I don't like that shiver when I talk about things like this. The conversation keeps going and my ex-partner brings up walkers and Wendy boys. I'm not claiming that this is either of those things, I simply don't know. And immediately, the full body shiver is back. Pyrrha, how did you move my entire tripod? Are you good? Here, can you play with a toy instead of that, please? She's just like grabbing the leg of my tripod and dragging it. Okay, anyways. Later on, after I've left my bedroom, locked all my doors, checked that all my cats are inside, and rung a bell a few times, as my friend who is experienced in supernatural encounters tells me to do, I sit down and begin to research. It's about 2 in the morning, and I type in Wendy Boy into Google. I receive no shiver and get that information. And then I type Walker, and the full body shivers are back. So I cleared my Google search bar and exited that square. Nothing happens after that. However, I've been experiencing these shivers recently at night when I'm swimming in my pool, and as soon as I get them, I immediately head inside. So if anyone can please help, I would appreciate it. This is not an emergency. I'm just genuinely curious, and Google isn't helping. So if it is that, and I'm not saying it is either, because there would need to be a lot of other things factoring in probably for it to be that. Regardless, I would just ignore it. That's your safest bet. And, just pretend it's not happening. Pretend you don't see anything. If you do talk about it, do it off of the property. Or if you write it down, do it outside of the property. I would ignore. All right, story number 3. When I was 16 or 17, I lived at my grandparents' house, and my mom had just recently moved into a big house that was separated into small apartments. It was her, my stepdad, and my brother who lived there at the time. I went over to visit and check out her new place, and we had a normal time hanging out, and towards the end of the evening, that's when things started happening. My stepdad started talking about how the place was haunted, and it affected my mom. I thought it was just a bag of baloney, and not too long after, my mom got this weird look in her eye and said, "Oh, you get to meet my friend, he's here. Like, this shit's normal." I get this horrible feeling, and I was sitting on the couch with my mom and stepdad watching a movie, and my mom stepped out to smoke. As she opened the door to the hall, a ball of light about the size of a baseball flew in and evaporated into a pile of blankets just sitting on the floor. My mom didn't seem fazed. Frozen, I slowly shifted my eyes to my stepdad and whispered, "Please tell me you saw what I just saw." He nodded once and quickly said, "Yep," with no hesitation. I bursted out into tears, terrified of what I saw. The feeling in the room was heavy. My stepdad laughed and tried to make me not so scared of the spirit that was lingering, but it didn't help. My mom was calming me down as well, saying that he isn't mean, but the heaviness in the room said otherwise. The next morning, the light was shining through the old single-panel windows, and things felt normal again. We were eating breakfast at the table, and my mom told me that the house did have a history. She told me that he and his wife and kids lived there. They were very wealthy at the time, and the story goes that they had enslaved people in their basement. He did have a mistress living in the attic upstairs who his wife didn't know about. Well, one day the wife found out about the mistress, and he ended up killing them and then hanging himself in the tree outside by the front porch that still stood strong. My mom said that she would see the kids running around, hear their voices, and see shadows like orbs floating around. I never went back to that place, and they actually ended up turning it into a bed and breakfast after my parents and brother moved out. I've tried to Google it out of curiosity, but I won't ever go back there. Luckily, their new place isn't haunted and nothing followed. Although I think my mom is pretty clairvoyant, she has had many dreams of past families who have visited, and I used to be a lot like her, but this spirit doesn't have to be a bad one. It just scares me to the point of crying, so I blocked it out. I'm really not sure what type of spirit this was, or if it even was one, maybe something else. If you have any idea what a ball of light could be, that would be helpful. I'm not even sure if this presence was negative. I'm just scared of anything like this. It felt heavy, if that makes sense. It's definitely something I'll never forget. So yeah, that's like another ball of light story. I don't know what they could be, so many things. I genuinely just have no idea. All right, let's read one more short story and then we will wrap it up today. Recently, weird things have been going on in my house. I live in Pennsylvania in the mountains, and about a month ago, I was alone in my kitchen, probably at around midnight. I was trying to do something when I heard a breath in my ear. I started trying to make food, but it just kept happening. Well, fast forward probably around a week later, and I hear the breath in my bedroom. I had my mom stage my room, and in my bedroom I have a desk with a mirror against the wall right in front of my bed. Around 2 or 3 days later, I'm sitting in my bed, and I had the urge to look in this mirror. I look up, and instantly my eyes locked, sunken in, and completely black, and my face looked deformed. It's all kept happening since then. Have you had any experience with this, or do you have any advice? Spiritually lock that mirror. Lock that mirror. Has my phone fallen again, or am I just moving? What is wrong with this tripod? I'm sorry this video is so chaotic, you guys. I can't get a grasp on myself, which is bad because I'm filming all YouTube videos for the week today, so I fear they're all gonna have this chaotic energy. Well, anyways, that is all for today. I hope the other videos aren't as chaotic as this one. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.